But
Wow.
through my mistakes and through my errors,
Yes.
I realized that I had to go through those trials and tribulations, ups and downs, mistakes, in order to find my true me.
So for a lot of people, and I know that certainly was one of the things that was an internal message for me. Well, there were so many internal messages for me as I moved through my healing journey. And one of them was, I am not worthy of love, right? And I have to be perfect in order for that love to come, right? And the other thing that was an internal message for me was, I am alone, right? And so, I constantly want to be connected, but somehow that disconnection, is present. And so as I moved through my own journey, I had to go back to my childhood and I had to connect those pieces together. So for example, being alone. My mother left when I was 3 years old to migrate to Canada. And then at 10, I would eventually join her here. And, during that process, lived with my grandparents who were just absolutely lovely people. But I had a very secure attachment to my mother. And then when she left, it was a real departure. And that sense of somehow maybe she left because of me. Somehow maybe I'm not worthy of love, because if I were worthy, then she would come and she would either take me with her, or I would have gone with her to begin with, So these messages, they all play out, and we have sometimes no idea where they are coming from, what experiences they are housed in. And because I know so many of us struggle with the perfectionism, I want you to kind of, banter with me right now as you think about your early childhood experiences. Did you ever attach your perfection or, wanting to help or to, just be there to support people and encourage people? Did you ever attach it to a need of your childhood self?
I did. Like I mentioned earlier, I went to therapy to uncover that. Yes. And so I remember, just like you're talking about your childhood, mine was similar. You remember 3 years old. I don't. I have a lot of things that I don't remember. I remember being abused, sexually abused as a young child. I remember being separated. Stayed with my grandmother. My mom went to town in Jamaica to build life. Yes. She would work. She would send money back. Yes. My dad migrated to Canada, and he got married. And I remembered one thing that really stuck with me even today is there was, my dad had 4 children. I was the second born.
Yes.
And 2 others after me, and my sister was the first. My older sister would go over to my other grandmother's house where it was a lot more prestige and they had more wealth. And I was left in my other grandmother's house. And so I've always thought to myself, why? When I came to Canada, I looked at an album and there weren't any baby pictures of me.
Yeah.
And I wondered why.
Yes.
And then all my other siblings came to Canada and left me in Jamaica. I was the last one to come. And I wondered why.
Yes.
So all of this, I think, built up. And I've always wondered why. And so because of that, I felt that I always need to love on people, to be more attentive and be more caring to others. And because of that, I wanted not to be abandoned. Mm-hmm. So I always have to be yes, and always want to be caring and want to be this perfectionist because I want to be loved. And if I felt that if I was doing everything right, I would be accepted and I would be loved. And that's the way that through therapy, it was uncovered. And when I uncovered that, I just cried. I cried because I was like, wow. It was like this weight that fell off me. Yeah. And I thought, oh my God, this is the reason why you ended up in relationships with men or with friends, because you're trying to be perfect and you're trying to find that love.
And to prove that you're lovable, right?
Exactly. Thank you.
I was reading something or just moving through a process this week myself. And it was kind of like a process of, the I am and it is, right? And so a lot of us are motivated because of our pain into a certain direction. So the thing we did not receive is often the thing that, is going to speak to our love language, right? So in our most painful moments, like being left and being selected last, being not quite the priority, or even in those moments of sexual abuse and wondering, well, why am I experiencing this? Would I experience this if someone just took notice of the fact that I didn't need to be here? Was I exposed in some way? And so in a lot of ways, what we do is we use our pain and we pivot towards kind of like the place that we want to go. And the thing that is now to come to all of us is to recognize that the pain is not the pivot point, right? Like the pain point is not to be the focus. If you don't see before the pain, then you're going to forget who you are, and your pain is going to get rolled up in your identity. And then what you're then going to do is you're then going to seek out ways in order to like either match the resonance of that pain or in some way fill a deep hole that is there because of the pain. So the real place that any of us want to get to is to recognize, hey, I'm worthy. Hey, I am not perfect, but I'm good and I'm good enough, right? And, good enough. I know a lot of Christians have a hard time saying that, like I'm worthy, or I'm good. No, I'm not good. Like we're taught that message. I'm not good enough, right? And the whole time not recognizing that it's the spirit, the risen spirit in you that actually makes you good and fills you up with all of those wonderful things.